I am about to interview my mom. I've known her my whole life. I'm going to interview her on my brother's death. So, we'll see how this goes. But I pray if any of you are grieving in some way or going through suffering or just anything of no hope. My mom has gone through, the unspeakable of losing a child at such a young age. And so I'm just going to have her share a story, and I just pray it helps anyone and everyone. So here's my mom's story. Have you been in here before?
I have. Remember, Maverick was Michael Jordan on the basketball goal. Remember he was like throwing it. He was awesome.
Okay, we should pray first.
We should.
Okay, let's pray. Okay. Whew. All right, Holy Spirit, I pray you enter this room, and I just pray that this video will just glorify you and your amazing healing power and your redeeming work. And I just pray that anyone that sees this, that is suffering or has no hope or just living currently in loss, and I just pray that you will just help them with this video. Just pray that we will just glorify your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
How long have I known you?
How old are you?
30 years and 30 years and 6 months.
Oh my
7
goodness.
months. We're in July.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I don't know how to start.
All right, this is
So,
our work video.
I can edit out.
Okay.
Just warming up. Okay, so this is obviously my bedroom and my mom. I have asked her to share the story of my brother, so her baby boy, and how he passed away in a tragic car accident.
Thank you for having me. And when you first asked me, I wasn't sure that I would be able to do it emotionally, but I thought if I could help someone else going through this tragedy or help someone else that wanted to support someone going through this tragedy, then I would like to do it because it is one of the most painful things in the whole world to experience. But I will take you back to that day. I'll take you actually the night before, only because it's just cute. So my mom was going to go to Walgreens. So Blake worked at Walgreens, right? Mm-hmm. Senior citizen discount. Mom had it, right? Mm-hmm. So Blake's sitting down there writing his big old long list that he wants his grams to get him all the stuff. And so that's really the night before. He was excited to get those items. He was to go to work the next day. And really, nothing stood out. He, his relationship was fine with his girlfriend. There wasn't any fighting or anything. And I had started a new job. And so it was really crazy busy that day and the days leading up to. So he had texted me a couple times. I was delayed. He had an eye doctor appointment coming up, and I was delayed in responding back to him. And then that's the day that my world came to a halt. I was at work, and Mom called me, Grams. She said, "Carrie, the police are here." "What's wrong?" "Blake's been in an accident." Nothing really more was said. I just immediately told my boss I gotta go, packed my stuff up, got into the elevator, and that was the longest elevator ride ever. I didn't know what type of, it wasn't like I was told a car accident, it was just an accident. And so when I got home, Grams was there with the police officer, and Anna Lee, his girlfriend, was there. And so the cop sat me down, told me that Blake had been in a car accident, and I literally just lost it. fell to the floor and said, as if I had a choice, Mom, I can't do this. I cannot go through this. Like, I don't have the energy. I don't. Peyton was, at that time, she was 4. I was working full time. Being older, having kids, it just takes more from you. And so I was just trying to do my best, working full time, taking care of her. And, my mom looked at me because her health was failing. So also being support to her. So I kind of felt pulled in different directions. And so to hear that, my heart was just crushed. And then it was surreal, and it was just devastating all at the same time. And you're trying to make sense of your emotions. And so after we found that out, the hardest calls was to have to call you and to call Maddie and to call Greg, your dad, and tell you all. It was just awful. And then you just go through so many things in your mind. Once that happens, one of the first things I thought of was, well, I always taught him to wear a seatbelt. Was he wearing a seatbelt? Like, why didn't that say that? Right. So that was the worst. And I, of course, didn't sleep for days and days. I had to go to the doctor to get a medication for anxiety and medication to sleep. And we all went out to the crash site. Come to find out, the story was that his girlfriend and him had gotten into a fight after school. And the only thing that we could figure is he was just, guys like to drive cars fast. I guess it's a stress reliever for them. And I believe that he was not familiar with that road. I think because he went out Schweitzer, so from high school, went out Schweitzer, it's right there, all the way out in the country near Blue Valley Southwest. And I don't believe he was familiar with the road because it had like 2 little hills. So that high rate of speed, he hit the hills, lost control. And so he's, heading this way, but he loses control and actually ends up on the right side facing the other direction. But out of all this land, there's one tree trunk there out of all this land. And the car hit it directly on the driver's side door. So with the high rate of speed and hitting that, he passed pretty much immediately, and thank goodness he was knocked out. So when he did pass, he didn't feel anything. But we went out the next day to see the accident site, and it was pretty devastating to see the damage to like the ground and the tree trunk, and he broke through the fence, and to see like the tracks in the dirt, and the rubber on the road. So I guess that's really the only blessing, is that it happened so fast and he was knocked out, that I know that, he wasn't in pain. But my life is before and after. So everything before he died, and then everything after, it's just like 2 chapters. And one of the things I never understood, so Grams, my mom, I lost my brother, she lost her son. I remember about a year into after we lost Taryn, I couldn't understand it. I was just like, Mom, why aren't you living for us? We're still here. Because it made us feel less than or not as important as Taryn was. And then it happened to me, and I realized, oh no, it's never like that. You love your children the same. You just want the pain to stop. And it doesn't stop. You have to learn how to live with it, how to honor his memory and live with it every single day. And that's the dance, is figuring out how to do it. because there's so much more to life. God has so many more blessings for you. There's a lot of times that I'm like, it's not fair. It's not fair. Why does some people get to have their family forever and others have to live through life without someone? But I have to get out of that. I can only stay in that for a brief moment because I know that God always has the best plan. And that his blessings, there's so many blessings that I have to look to. Yes, that's a challenge. Unfortunately, it's a rough one. But I can never question his plan because he does always have the best plan. And as we've talked about, when things happen in your life that are just brutally painful, if we know God has the best plan, it's like that analogy where the quilt, the ugly side of the quilt is on the bottom, and that's the only thing we can see is the pain, the hurt. But God sees the beautiful quilt on the other side, and one day I'm going to get to see Blake again. It'll be the best reunion ever. But until then, I have to honor his memory. But one step in front of the other. And probably for the first 2 years, it was one step in front of the other. That's all I could do to get through life.
So every day was like, I don't know how I'm going to do today.
That's pretty much what it was. I worked for a call center, and so I had to be on the phone all day and talk to people. So I didn't get to have much time off. I had wonderful coworkers that they got together because I had started this new job. I didn't have a whole lot of PTO. So they got together and put like a cash fund so I could take a little bit of time off to get it together. And then when I came back to work, there'd literally be times where I'd have to like set aside, cry for a little bit, get myself together, go to the bathroom, splash some cold water, get it together, and talk myself through the rest of the day because I had to talk to people. There just wasn't an option. And then we were still trying to take care of Graham. So Graham's her health is already deteriorating, then throw his death on top of it. Knowing that she had already experienced this from losing her son, and now she's lost her grandson, who she would say, I felt just as close to Blake as a son as I did a grandson. So she's trying to cope, and then we're trying to, be the best for Peyton, who's 4, because you can't just lose it. And, I'm sorry, I can't be a mom right now because I'm suffering. So every day was hard. So for the first 2 years, the struggle was so real. Just personal hygiene and accomplishing my job. Nothing extra. And then after that, you become more numb. So, you always go through the grief process, right? So the 5 stages of grief. Mm-hmm. And you think that you work through them like like it.
In a certain order.
Yeah. No, you're all over. You think you get to acceptance, and then you go back to, anger. Like, there are a lot of times that I'm thankful that God has forgiven me, but I was angry. I'm like, I already lost my brother. So we weren't a family anymore. It's like, once you lose someone, you're not a unit anymore. Holidays are awful. It's just not the same.
I agree with holidays. Like, it's just, it's like what we could have had, what we could have had feeling the rest of forever. Right. It's like a reminder that it's not how it should have been.
Exactly. And so after that happened, I was already angry. I'm like, God, I already did this with my mom and dad, and it not being the same with holidays. Now this, and that was the thing, Christmas was Lake's favorite. So it was one of my favorite holidays. And so now it was just brutal to get through. So I would say like I said, the first 2 years, after that, I became numb. And I equated it to if you had a ball and chain around your ankle. In the beginning, that ball was 1,000,000 pounds. It took all you had to get one step in front of the other. and then it started to lighten. So maybe it was 100 pounds. So maybe you did your personal hygiene, you're able to eat your meals. But maybe there was an activity that you did that you actually smiled, or you caught yourself laughing. And so those moments were sprinkled throughout, but it didn't take much to bring you right back down to your knees because a memory would remind you of something, or going into his room. I mean, it was just weird, being in the house and that there's just no activity for me. As the years go on by, that ball, it gets a little bit lighter. So you can go the whole day without thinking about it. And then when you do have something that jogs your memory, you actually smile instead of crying.
So it turns into like beautiful moments instead
Yes.
of like heart-wrenching pain.
Right. And it really is a roller coaster, because you'll be going along and you'll have all those days where, oh wow, it's only 5 pound weight and I'm doing really well. And then all of a sudden you may have something big, such as a Christmas memory, Thanksgiving memory, something. And then, so that moment, you're dropped to your knees, and maybe that ball is 100 pounds again. So you gotta, and we know that God is our anchor. So we have to cling to him like nobody's business in those moments and times. That's what gets you through.
Right.
And that's what I was going to say. So Jesus Calling, it's a devotional, and founded after he died. And literally every day it spoke to me. Like you read it and you're like, oh my goodness.
Like it was just for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for the first year, this really was huge, clinging on to God's plan, having faith and hope, finding that support. Mom was such a great support since she had already been through it, right? So, she knew the things to say and the things to ask. And, she was definitely a rock at that moment in time, having Peyton, keeping busy with that, seeing you girls when I could. You just keep asking for God to make it lighter, not so heavy. And sure enough, he spoke through this book. We ended up engraving these in memory of Blake and giving it to all of Blake's choir. So they all got a devotional book. So in memory of him. So that was soothing to the heart as well. So, after the 2 years of it being intense pain, and then it starts to lessen, I realized I became stuck in a numb state. Just like I didn't get really excited, but I didn't get depressed either. It was almost like robotic. I was just marking off my task each and every day, but I didn't realize how much I was in that kind of robotic mode. And I guess more numb and depressed. But I didn't realize, because it was the same thing every day, so I didn't realize it was depressed. It was just me. It was just where I was at. And so Scentsy, this gal, she wanted to throw a Scentsy party, like an online party, asked me to do it, and I said sure. So I did, and it was a good party. And so it came time for me to get like my hostess gifts. And so I started picking things out, and I thought, well, gosh, if I can, get a discount just by being a Scentsy consultant, I'll jump on board. And so I made a decision to be a consultant. This morning, got up and took my shower, and I just started sobbing in the shower. But it was happy tears, because it was the first time that I had felt hope since Blake had died. What that felt like to be giddy on the inside. 5 years, I didn't know. I didn't even know that existed. I was just marking tasks off my list. Just deep in trying to, because Mom's health, was trying to take care of her, trying to work full time, take care of Peyton. And I was just robotic and depressed. And so to finally be happy on the inside and have things that you can look forward to just took so long. But like I said, this devotional helped me, other people and their support. And that's what I wanted to say too, is that when something like this happens and people want to help you, like it pains them. They feel for you, and then if they can't do anything to help you, it's just an awful feeling. So, but we are trying so hard just to get through the day with the basics that we're not going to reach out to someone and say, hey, can you do this? One, we don't want to put anybody out. But two, we don't even know what we need because we're so
like you're saying, you didn't know what you needed to even
to even help me. Like I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So, I encourage people just to, just doing a sporadic meal, like not asking them, just ordering something or making them something and bringing it over, or saying, hey, I'm going to come to your house tomorrow and I'm going to clean, because we're not going to ask. But we wouldn't want, if you came to our house, we're not going to be like, no, you get out of here.
Right.
We would accept that graciously. But that's the thing, is people want people to call them and let them know, but we're just trying to get through the day. We're just trying to eat. I remember that was the first thing, was just continuing to put nutrition, because your stomach is so, you're just crying all the time. Your eyes hurt. You're not getting sleep. You're not hungry. And showering. You're showering and trying to eat. That's about it for so long. And then trying to work a full-time job. And you're just consumed with all that you don't even know what you need. And so definitely people need to just be patient. Maybe send cards thinking of you. That's nice. Offering to do a meal. Maybe it's small children, taking them out to do something, for a bit of a break, those kinds of things. But just being assertive and showing up versus saying, hey, if you need something, let me know, because we're not going to. For parents that experience this, maybe it's new and it just happened, giving them permission to feel whatever each day. Because you have these expectations that I need to do this and this and this because, I have a daughter that I need to take care of, and we have, our times together. But at the end of the day, in order for you to heal, you have to ride the roller coaster out. And you can't push back those feelings. You have to feel it. It's painful. It's awful. But you have to walk through the fire. And I say to get to the other side. And when I say get to the other side, it means more how to dance with the grief. You have to learn how to dance with the grief. You can fight it all you want, but it's going to make you miserable. It's going to be miserable. You have to figure out, how can I honor Blake, take care of myself, and still believe in God's plan, that He has the best plan, and one day we will reunite. But how can I glorify that each and every day, instead of staying stuck in anger, depression, and just consuming your life? You can either be bitter or you can be better. And so I chose to be better, because that bitter is suffocating. It's suffocating, and it's not good for anyone around you. And definitely I encourage people to find support groups, compassionate friends, other support groups that churches offer, to really help you in those down moments. Those were very important. Self-help books, do those things, because they really are so helpful. And going to the cemetery, it's always difficult, because you think, I shouldn't be here. Why am I having to come visit you at the cemetery on your birthday? No, we're supposed to be eating red velvet cake. Yeah, so those are hard. Holidays are hard. Every time I go to change out the flowers, I have a moment where I'm like, well, this isn't fair. Brother's gone. My son's gone, and now my mom's gone. It's not fair. What do you do? Pick yourself back up. Carrie, let's talk about your blessings. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on the people that are here. Enjoy those times, because you never know. Nothing's promised. Tomorrow is not promised, so gotta make the the most of it and the best of it. And so far, I feel like I'm powering on and doing the best I can and trying to still be, and that's the hard part, is you want to be who you were before. It's not realistic. I think that's what a lot of people try to be, the person they were before, and it actually causes them more anguish instead of just going, you are who you are now, This is your journey with God, and this is part of you. This is this is who you're supposed to be right now with this. So maybe your brokenness can help someone else. So it's accepting that I'm broken. I'm gonna be broken, but I'm gonna make the best of it, and always try to see the positive instead of being bitter and depressed and just being angry. I don't want to live in my life that way. It's no fun.
Mm-hmm. So how would you say you feel today about it? Like, is it normal to just wake up and not think about it till later on instead of it being your first thought in the morning?
Correct. Yeah, it's not my first thought in the morning. Maybe some days it is, but for the most part, no, it's not my first. And usually I'll see something, Pete and I would talk a lot about him as if he was there. And we always pick up signs. We're always watching for him to give signs, just like when I came here, the song that was played at his funeral started playing on the radio before I got here, because I was just kind of having a moment in the car going, can I do this? Can I do this? And then that song came on, so I kind of felt like it was a sign. So we really do. We pay attention a lot to signs like orange butterflies, things that he would say or do if we catch it, during the day. Yeah, so we really hang on to those. Those moments are special. Anytime every time I go walking, same intersection, every time an orange car shows up at the four-way stop. It's the same intersection. Only at that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Same orange car.
And orange was his favorite color.
Yes, orange was his favorite color, which is, that's not usually that was Papa's favorite color too. I didn't know
Maverick
that.
Lately has been saying orange is his favorite color.
Oh, yay! Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah. So, I've had his stuff packed away. I haven't went through it. I have a lot of shirts that I'd like to actually, make quilts or blankets, not just for me, but for you guys, of his clothes, because I kept quite a bit of his clothes. Like, if I saw that shirt and I can remember, a time with him having it on, or I connected it with him, then I kept it. If I saw the shirt and it didn't then those were the clothes that we donated to another family. And so those are some things, but I have put that off. Definitely want to do that. I know it's just taking each day as it is and doing what's best for you. And sometimes we hurry through and we want to do the things, but I just allow myself, how are you feeling today? Oh, okay, you don't want to deal with that today? Okay, that's okay. And I move on. And so I'll go through his things. Got to go through Graham's things too. So I just give myself permission, however long it takes for me to do those things. So.
And since we're both believers, we believe in heaven, and that it's real, and that's where him and Graham's are. And so I know with me, that's definitely, it's we're sad that he's gone, but why he's in such an amazing place, we should be jealous of where he is, kind of thing.
Yes.
So that always helps me be like, I shouldn't even want him to come back down here, type of thing, because he's living his best life up there.
Right. Oh, I'm sure you probably say the same thing. If you're having a bad day and just silly stuff or stupid stuff, and you're like, it's not fair. I want to be up there instead of down here. Right. I can't imagine how beautiful. It's like
no more problems.
Nothing negative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think about it. I'm like, oh, you got the best seat in the house. And I bet you're shaking your head looking at all this hot mess down here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that he was not, like you mentioned earlier, he wasn't in pain when he died. Mm-hmm. It was just in an instant he was gone.
Right,
so
right.
No suffering or anything.
Nope. I think he was just, at that moment, he was upset and he was just speeding and unfortunately didn't know the road. I think and unfortunately, if you were to do that, replay that again, you would never get the same result because he would have to lose control at just the right spot to spin around and hit it. So when you think about that, you think, was this Blake's journey on earth was done. He had come and done the things that God had wanted him to do, made a difference, and that was his. Because I just don't think you can do the same. You can play it out and get the same result.
Right.
Like everything had to line up just right. I mean, for it to spin around but him go the other direction do you know what I mean? Like you would think if it spun around it would go around like that, but no, it went around. Yeah, so it's just.
And the one tree.
Right, not any other trees, and how many acres? Yeah, and that one tree stump right by that. Yeah.
So what does your relationship with God, like how is it now compared to prior to the accident?
So when you have tragic things happen, it does make you more compassionate to others. And it strengthened my faith and hope. Even though I lost Blake, I know that I can get through anything. I know that he's always there for me on my darkest days. And I'll always believe that he has the best plan, no matter how painful it is. Because at the end of the day, when I get up to heaven, I'm going to get to figure it all out. I'm going to understand it all, and it will all make sense. So until then, I'm just so grateful and thankful that he's been by my side to help me get through those dark days. Because you lose a lot of hope in those moments, right? So you need someone to dig you out, and that's when you're on your knees saying, God, I can't do this. I cannot do this. You're going to have to help me.
Right.
You have to help me.
Right.
I don't even want to get up. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. So, but sure enough, he's always helped me. Always been there.
That's awesome. Because you could have easily chose to go the bitter route. I want nothing to do with God. He did this to me. And I'm sure you had your moments, but just trusting God.
Exactly.
Like, it's not that God meant for this to happen, it's just because we live in a fallen world. But He can do Romans 8:28 to anything and make it work for good. So.
Exactly, and it is what it is. We have free will, so it is what it is. But at the end of the day, in our world, we have sin, we have free will, and we just pray that we can walk through life doing the best we can. We all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, God's always going to love us, right? I mean, I can be angry with him 100 times. At the end of the day, he forgives me. He understands it. He gets it. But I don't stay there. So if we can always remember that we are worthy, we're valued. It doesn't matter if we make mistakes. That's that whole ask for forgiveness, be accountable and ask for forgiveness and move forward. Don't hang on to that sin that you think is not forgivable, because it is. You just have to ask for forgiveness. And so that's the thing, when I get into those moments where I'm like, I'm angry. I don't have my brother. I don't have my son. I don't have my mom. I'm angry. Once I'm sorry, gun.
Whoopsies.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm getting it together now. Thank you so much for the many, many blessings that you provide each and every day. I know this is just a moment in time, and I gotta take my eyes off the bitter and the anger and the loss and look at all the wonderful fullness I have in my life. I have to stay. It's very much a teetering, but as you get farther along, less teetering, because you don't go there into that angry place like you did when it first happened.
Yeah.
So I don't have as many of those moments, but thank goodness he forgives us, because there were moments where it was brutal.
And I'm sure he completely understands.
Right.
He lost his son.
Exactly. And like you said, like some of the time of his life.
Right.
I mean, Rams was trying to keep up with Taryn.
Right. Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not an easy one to share, and you're so brave. And you are. I know that whenever we go out in public, it's like people figure out or somehow it gets brought up, like, because people ask you, how many kids do you have? Which is like, do we really have to go over this every time?
Right.
But I know that people are always commenting, like, you're so strong and brave and positive. So I see that in you all the time, too. For going through all that, because I just can't even imagine a child. Since, like, because you've talked about losing your brother and losing your child is two totally separate things.
Right.
So, but thank you for sharing your story.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. And I hope you never have thought that I love you any less. Because now that I have, like I said, now that I experienced that, it wasn't about us not being as important. It was she was going through so much pain that she was just trying to get through the day, even though I'm looking at it as, wait a minute, Sherry and I are here. Why aren't you? And I'm like, okay, now that I've totally went through it, I totally get it. No, we love all of our children. We love all of our children the same. It's just we want that pain to stop.
Right.
And we can't make it stop. So it looks, from your perspective, it looks like we're consumed with only one child, and that's not it. We're just in so much pain and just trying to function. It doesn't mean that we don't love, we love you the same. It's not that. It was just trying to get through, function day after day.
Right.
But then you get to the point that you're able to do that and incorporate others, and it doesn't have that heaviness as it once did. So,
well, I appreciate you saying that. I feel bad that I wasn't even, because everyone goes through grief differently. Everyone goes through the stages differently. That was my real first grief of losing someone when Blake died. And so I didn't know how to do the grieving process prior to him. So I feel like I didn't show up for you in all the ways I should have been there, because I just, like you were saying earlier, I just didn't know I didn't know how to deal with my pain, let alone your pain. It matters,
right.
Everybody's pain. And then sometimes it just felt better to live in denial of I just don't want to deal with this today. I don't have any more emotions to give to anybody.
Right.
I'm just feeling numb. And so I think we've all learned, and I think we're all good now and healed from it. So.
Yeah, and I just everyone has different coping skills, and so you only know what you know, right? I mean, if you only know so much, you can only deal with it with what you have, and so don't ever, I don't know what do I want to say, feel less than because you just you dealt with it the best you could at the time. And like you said, sometimes our coping skills to save face and to be able to continue through life, you do get in denial. If you deny it, then it makes it easier to get through your day, right? Mm-hmm. So and if that's what you needed at that time, that's what you needed to get through. And so yeah, it's all a big learning curve for sure.
I love life. Well, thank you.
Oh, we love you. Love you.
Okay, so I will, you mentioned your Scentsy business. I'll put a link below. So if anyone wants any smelling good things, you can go order some. But thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.